Hello everyone, Mrhappy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mrhappy, aka Mrhappy Mondays, the weekly Q&A show where I messed up this intro 3 times before this recording, but I'm going to get this one right. Anyway, before I get into the Q&A, just a quick reminder, Alexander Normal is coming out this Tuesday for Final Fantasy XIV Heavensward. It's the first raid of the expansion. Its difficulty is supposedly, last time Yoshi told us, the equivalency of Coil with Echo, and it's meant to be the more casual raid of the two difficulties, something where people should be able to do it, experience it, get some gear. It won't be super easy, but it won't be as challenging as the original Coils were for those who had a hard time with it. The gear system's a little bit strange for it, but hopefully we'll have more clarity on that in 2 more days. On top of that, a lot of people seem to be confused about the rest of the release. Like, this is 3.01, the patch 3.01. 3.05 will be in 16 days. Well, it's Monday now that you're watching this, so 15 days. And that is going to be when Alexander Savage releases, which is going to have an even bigger item level bump. There's going to be harder mechanics. It's going to be considerably the ultimate challenge, equivalent to Final Coil of Bahamut Savage, which never came out, so it's a terrible thing to compare it to. The Tomestones of Esoterics come out alongside Alexander Savage, as well as the advanced scripts for Crafters and Gatherers, and the new PvP rules and map and all that fun stuff. So, now that's cleared up, if you want to see a little bit of a preview of Alexander, hopefully there's a full-blown version of it available by the time I post this video. But somebody recorded Japan Expo. There was a live presentation showing off Alexander, the music, some of the enemies, a little bit of a teaser. So I'll include that in the description of the video as well, assuming that the YouTube video wasn't taken down for whatever reason. Anyway, with that out of the way, we actually have quite a few questions this week, so let's get right into it, because after that, I have a lot of Dark Knight done. First question, happy question from Mondays with Mrhappy, aka Mrhappy Mondays, the weekly Q&A show where we ask questions and you answer them. Haha. With bards losing popularity recently with how ineffective Wanderer's Minuet is outside of openers and AoE rotations and the god-awful Bloodletter Reign of Deathbug, which, by the way, as of this recording, was fixed. It was fixed after you asked this question, like the day after. As a former bard main yourself, how would you fix bards and Wanderer's Minuet? I guess the question is, how did they not realize that the buff that it gave was not good enough to fix not having auto attacks? I mean, that's ultimately the thing. It didn't compensate enough for the loss of the auto attacks and the cast times, which they just need to fix. The initial cast time of Wanderer's Minuet being 3 seconds is also troublesome, because maybe without the 3-second cast time, it would have been worth it a little more, but even still, they clearly didn't do enough damage calculations on Wanderer's Minuet. So bump the damage up, reduce the actual cast time of activating it, make it as long as maybe Swift Song or something like that. Most people would rather it be instant, but imagine that just like a bard, like, I gotta sing this song in order to get this ability up. Bop! Okay, well, that was a song. Okay, Wanderer's Minuet. So yeah, reduce the cast time and increase the damage output. That's all that really needs to be done to it. It needs to be solidified because they want it to be something you use when you have a large amount of downtime. If you need mobility, they want you to have that option as a bard. If you don't need it and there's no reason for you to be moving, that's when they want you to use Wanderer's Minuet. So I want to see if with the future changes coming to it, if they can reasonably achieve that, and whatever change they'll probably make to Gauss Barrel as well. Next question. Hey Mrhappy, with all the main story quests and side quests being used on my main Dragoon, how do you think leveling other jobs from 50 to 60 will be? Because I can't imagine doing Heavensward Fates to level up all my other jobs. Is SC planning on buffing the Fates in Heavensward areas once a vast majority of people are 60? Thanks and have an awesome week. So I expect that they'll buff the Heavensward Fates, but not to the point where 50 to 60 feels as fast as 40 to 50. That won't happen anytime soon. The main reason is they want 50 to 60 to feel as big of a leveling experience as 1 to 50 was. So because of that, the Fates currently are scaled to that rate. Like, they don't want you getting like 50k EXP per Fate because they know that it only have to do like 12 Fates in order to get a level. So what should probably happen, they need to be scaled up a little bit, not because they need to speed up the leveling process, but because it needs to be more worth it to do Fates in those areas. There's a lot of travel time in those areas. So it needs to be considered that when you have to travel so far between Fates, that there has to be a level of compensation for that. Currently, most people are grinding in Northern Thanalan until 53 to 55, and then they go and they spam either Samal, the Aerie. Some people stay till 57 and then save all the rested XP for the Vault and the Great Cabal Library. But mostly 50 to 60 is done via dungeons. You do the dungeons over and over and over. You probably don't want to know this, But from level 50 to 60, it takes 1,100 fates in Northern Thanalan. I think that's assuming you do all 23k. I don't know if that includes the occasional Gorgamera or Dark Devices. And it takes 79 dungeons without any rested XP with Armory bonus to get from 50 to 60. So either way, it's pretty slow. I recommend taking your time with your second job, unlike me, who I'm trying to get my third job to 60 before Alexander comes out on Tuesday. It's not going good. Anyway, yeah, I expect they'll be buffed, but don't expect the leveling process to speed up as a result. Just expect to not be in Northern Thanalan. Next question. Hello, Happy. Long-time watcher, first-time poster. Law bonus. Yes. The change has begun. Soon it'll be esoterics bonus. I have a question about your YouTube channel. I noticed you made Let's Plays of different games. Do you take requests from people, or do you only do Let's Plays of games that interest you? I just do the ones that interest me. It needs to be something I'm actually interested in. Otherwise, it's hard for me to be interesting while I'm playing it, or hard for me to commentate. It also can cause me to be rather negative if it's a game that I generally am not a fan of or not interested in the first place. I mean, don't get me wrong, sometimes I have a game brought to my attention I didn't know existed, and I end up liking it. But that's a lot different than somebody saying, oh, you should do a Let's Play of this. It just generally doesn't end up working that way. And also with the recent expansion launch, that won't happen anytime soon. If anything, the next Let's Play that'll continue are my Healer Happy Let's Plays. I actually have a few of those that still need to be posted. You know what? I gotta post those. I have Steps of Faith and Chrysalis recorded and Keeper of the Lake. I don't know. I think I have Chrysalis and Keeper of the Lake posted. I think Steps of Faith wasn't recorded or wasn't posted yet. I'm gonna render those tonight and see if I can get those out tomorrow. But yeah, that generally answers your question. Next question. Hey, Mr. Happy, 2 quick questions. Do you think that Square Enix will give a free company any more entitlements? Would like to see another company chest slot added. That'd be nice. I guess with the limit, I don't know, because people create a lot of free companies just for the sake of increased inventory. More entitlements, definitely. I don't know what those entitlements necessarily would be. I doubt it would be that anytime soon. That's something that probably wouldn't happen for probably another 1.5 years until they get rid of, like, PS3 support or something like that. But yeah, I'm sure that there are more entitlements on the way. And number 2, do you think that we will get any more Grand Company promotions? Yeah, they teased them by accident in patch 2.5. I suppose it's just something that didn't make sense to do right in 3.0's launch, considering that the Grand Companies were kind of in a rough spot after the events of 2.55, one of them in particular. So I'm expecting in 3.1 we'll see Grand Company promotion increases. It's also probably a good idea because it means they can actually implement something other than just crappy level 60 gear, because if they had just done it right at the launch, you know there would have just been crappy level 60 gear from the Grand Company promotions. So hopefully this gives them the opportunity to do something more interesting with it. We'll see how that pans out, but yeah, I'm expecting more promotions. Next question. Hey, Mr. Happy, first time commenting? Law bonus. With Bard as main job, I've tried Reign of Death in the rotation, noticed a slight difference in crit rates. Do you think that using Reign of Death helps with landing your 20% increase of using Straight Shot, Internal Release, and Raging Strikes? That's the only reason it would make sense why Reign of Death shares a cast time with Bloodletter. However, I missed my procs. No, Reign of Death I'm pretty sure was given a shared time with Bloodletter because they wanted you to have a clear choice between an AoE ability and a single target ability. I don't think it has anything to do, no. The evasion, I don't know what they changed, if anything else, other than giving it a cast time, because I haven't been keeping up with Bards other than Wanderer's Minuet. But no, the hit chance is literally, if you do not have a 100% chance to hit the mob, it just closes the gap with that chance. It doesn't give you a 20% like increased crit chance or more crits or anything along those lines. Unless I've changed, why don't I just look it up, make sure it's exactly the same before I shoot myself in the foot. xivdb.com, Reign of Death, level 45 Bard ability, delivers an attack with a potency of 100 to target nearby enemies with it. There's a friggin' Heroes of the Storm ad in my way. Lowers target evasion by 10%. There you go. So, yeah, no, it didn't really change at all. It's still the same thing. Doesn't help with that. Just, it's your AoE choice over Bloodletter. Next question. Hey, Happy, here is your weekly law bonus. Really? Doesn't it need to be a first time? I've seen your name on the forums before. Maybe you've never posted on this. I don't know. The question may contain spoilers, although seeing how it has been in discussion since 2.1, it might not be. Okay, I'm going to read this through real quick, because if it's a 2.1 spoiler thing, I don't really mind talking about it. If it's going to be a 3.0 related spoiler thing, my spoiler embargo does not come off until this coming Tuesday. And then it's going to be an Alexander spoiler embargo and a main story. Spoiler embargo will be gone. So real quick, let me just... Oh, they all have origins. Garuda has an origin. Leviathan has... All of the primals you mentioned have origin stories. They're just not too in-depth. I know Garuda's origin story is... she used to be more of a benevolent being until she went to war with some sort of serpent, and she got into a battle, and she killed the serpent, but she almost died in the process. So to survive, she drank the blood or ate the flesh of the serpent, and it gave her an insane bloodlust since then. They all have history in the primals. The whole idea of primals, and this is indirectly answering the question, even though I didn't actually read it really out loud. It's more along the lines of there is no one solid definition of a primal. Hrace Velger gives us some information about that at some point. I won't say what he says exactly for those of you who haven't finished the main story yet. But he gives us some information that just kind of confirms the things, like you said, we already know. It's hard to describe without saying spoilers, because there's so many things in 3.0 involving primals. Just know that there are backstories to all of them. Every single primal was once some sort of other being and has been manifested in a different way currently than they are originally anticipated. The nature of a primal is a lot different because of the way they're summoned into the world. They're usually power hungry because of the ether that they're given. They desire even more ether. So I'd like to learn more about all the backstories, but they all do have backstories, all of the primals. Next question. Hey, Happy McHapperson, random name. A long time fan. Love all that you do to support the Final Fantasy 14 fans with your videos. Well, I guess Final Fantasy 14 fans. I don't like calling my viewers fans necessarily, because it's like I don't like giving them that demographic, you know. Viewer is something that's like, it's easier to say. It doesn't really sound direct. To me, fan makes it sound like you're below me. I don't like the word fan at all. I don't know why. It just makes it seem like that person is below me, and I don't like it. But Final Fantasy 14 fans, I guess I'm a fan of Final Fantasy 14. I guess it is above us all, so I'll take it. First time asking a question, law bonus for the win. I've been a main scholar since I've started this game over a year ago, and I absolutely love it. How do you feel about the recent changes? I think now more than ever, we've increased our AoE healing output considerably. Also, have you realized what's going on with Embrace? It doesn't seem to be as potent as it used to be. Hoping that once my eye level increase, we'll see it scale back up. No, yeah, it got brought down. I've had a lot of scholars talking to me about how Embrace was brought down. I think the idea was it was brought down so that if you're going to DPS and heal, you're not just leaving it all on your fairy. Your fairy can keep it up for a little while. If you're over geared, it's definitely more potent. But they don't want you just letting your fairy solo heal anymore. They want you to earn that downtime you have to deal damage, for it to be a real decision, not for it to just be, well, I'm a scholar, so I'm a DPS with a healer pet. I don't see that going up to the point where you can notice it like it was before. They're in a pretty good place. Dissipation's the only questionable skill. Apparently, it used to be too strong before the expansion launched, back when they were testing it at the French Media Tour. I'm curious how much, I mean, if it was that strong back then, and it's generally not considered that useful now. I have to wonder if they'll just stick it in the middle ground, if they maybe just went too much in one direction, and now they kind of know where they can just put it. I expect Dissipation will see a little bit of change, but other than that, I'm happy with where the Scholar is. Deployment tactics and emergency tactics have seen a lot more use than people initially thought they were going to get. Deployment tactics, especially before they fixed the warrior bug. But I like Scholar. I like where they are right now. I like both of the original healers where they are right now. Next question. Hey, bud, I have a question regarding flying. Do you think they will enable flying in older zones? No. The main reason is the old world was not created with flying in mind. There is a lot of missing texture in the old world, since they never expected you to see certain things from certain angles. So they'd have to go back and develop textures for those old worlds. They'd have to... The zones aren't generally big enough to warrant flying, like the new zones are. So I'd expect that we'd have to have almost like another, like, 2.0 event where, like, the world is destroyed in order to get that, like, cataclysm, I guess, with World of Warcraft. I don't expect it to happen to any of the old zones. And I honestly don't know if I expect it after the Heavensward zones. I don't know if we'll have flying after we leave Dravania. It's going to be interesting to see what they decide to do, but just no promises when it comes to that. I'm not 100% confident. Next question. Hey, Happy, I would like to hear your opinion on Scholar in Heavensward. Lustrate was changed in an interesting way, but it annoys me that all of the instant heal skills, not only Lustrate, don't benefit from healing buffs. Neither active ones like Convalescence or the passive ones like Defiance. Using Lustrate on a warrior now feels very underwhelming. Furthermore, Dissipation is such a useless skill in its current form because of the 20% buff in full ether flow stacks is nothing compared to a fairy, and it doesn't affect Lustrate or Indomitability as stated above. Which are your major uses of ether flow in an emergency situation? Another concerning point is the lack of accuracy on our gear, so we'll be able to do good DPS in Alexander despite having a new skill to boost our damage. So, let's start. Lustrate changed for the right reason. It was changed because they didn't want people bypassing healing reductions. They didn't want people healing in cleric stance using lustrates. I do agree. The fact that those flat potency instant cast ones can crit is a nice change. I do see it that it's kind of strange that if with it just having a flat potency, that it still keeps that whole can't heal you for, doesn't benefit from healing buffs like the old lustrate used to. I think that might be a bug. I don't know if there's been any official comment on it. And Indomitability is great. Emergency Tactics ended up being really good. Deployment Tactics ended up being good. Like I said before, Dissipation in a bit of a weird place. It used to be too strong. They lowered it too much, so they'll probably push it back up to like 30-35%. And especially because, like we were talking before, the fairy's not as useful as it used to be. At least in terms of raw healing output. But still a very, very strong healing tool. Don't get me wrong. It's a manaless pet that just spams heals for you. And the reason why I think there's no accuracy on any gear outside of Alexander, I think they want you to either go out of your way to get crafted gear with accuracy in order to earn that DPS again, or Alexander gear itself has accuracy, and that's when you'll start seeing the change. Both of those are possible. I don't know if the latter would happen. It'd be kind of interesting, but we'll find out on Tuesday, so it won't be too much longer now. Don't worry. Next question. First time Lawness. Law bonus and law and bonus put together creates lowness. Hey, Mr. H, is there any chance we'll see a bestiary over horses and the like in Final Fantasy? They seem exceedingly rare, and you hardly ever see many outside of very... That sounds like something I would just do for, like, Final Fantasy 14, because horses, they have an entire event every year for horses. Well, they had the horses the one year. I shouldn't say every year. But, I don't know. Never considered that, because a horse isn't exactly a Final Fantasy-esque thing that a bestiary would have. That would be a funny episode, though. This week on Final Fantasy Bestiary, we're going to talk about horses. Funny, the chocobo was originally called a horse bird. I don't know. We'll see. Alright, so this next question was very, very long. I'm going to summarize it. They said that Dreadworm Trance didn't really fulfill the role of filling in the boring phases of Summoner, and that it's just more complexity layered on top of the already complex Etherflow usage. So, the question was, do you think Square Enix intended Dreadworm Trance to work out the way that it has? Also, would you have preferred the current style, or if they were mutually exclusive? Mostly talking about the fact you can have Etherflow stacks while in Dreadworm Trance, if you do it right. You know, the whole opener where you have all your Dreadworm Trance stacks and all that stuff. I think Dreadworm Trance has ended up making summoners amazingly interesting. Amazingly complex in their opener, like a 40-button opener. Somebody from my free company, Hi, that's his name. He made a 54-page guide on the 3.0 summoner. So if you want a really long read the description of the check out the description of the video to read it. I'm happy with the way Dreadworm Trance, and I think they're happy with the results. Summoner is one of the few jobs that feels like they got right in the expansion, but it also is one of the jobs that shows they cannot add any more abilities without either removing old ones or simply just adjusting old ones or adding new traits, or they can't add more abilities to Summoner after Dreadworm Trance's implementation. Like, they can't do it for any of the jobs. I think they're happy with it. I know I'm happy with it. Yeah, Summoners, GG. Alright, so there's a lot of spoiler-related questions in this week's. Like I said, my spoiler embargo does not lift until Tuesday, so I'm not even going to do the whole thumbs up thing. Next week, I will look at questions from the main story, but I will not be looking at story-related questions for Alexander. So there's quite a few I got to skip over. Apologies. If you want to try asking them for next week when the embargo is gone, maybe a little bit easier. Try to shorten them, though. A lot of people are, like, writing really long things for me to read when it comes to the main story. It's like, I just need the question. Just a little bit of backstory in the question, because otherwise the video takes way longer. So this next one, Konnichiwa, Mr. Happy. First time asking a question on the Dream Network forums, so here's a law bonus. Yes. So 2 questions for week 47. Number 1, how do you feel about the change to Perfect Dodge to Shade Shift? It was the same thing with Lustrate. They don't want people cheesing mechanics with the things other than the 7-minute cooldown that is hollowed ground, pretty much. Yeah, so they did the same thing to Mana Wall. It's, they just don't want people using that, I can dodge this mechanic once, I can dodge this mechanic twice, especially on such a short cooldown like those 2 abilities are. Hollowed ground is a pretty big sacrifice to use it on a single ability just to make it easier, when you could use it in other situations to just save the party or things like that. There's no, that situation doesn't exist for ninjas and black mages. I can save the party if I use Perfect Dodge. I can save the party if I use Mana Wall. It's like, a paladin's like, guys, we're gonna ignore this next mechanic. We can only do this once, though. So, I'm a fan of it. I wish it was magic damage. Also, I wish it wasn't just a physical damage shield. But it's nice, 20%. It's not bad. It doesn't scale that well with the new content, but you can see its effectiveness. And question number 2 was a main story spoiler. P.S. Death to all the Moogles. Yeah, I hate those things. Next question. Hey, Mr. Happy, long-time watcher, first-time poster. Law bonus. How do you feel about the new monk skills in Heaven's Ward, specifically meditation and form shift? I'm completely divided on the issue. I think Square Enix did a great job in recognizing the issues with monks, but failed in terms of execution. The biggest problem is how spammy tedious they are. For meditation, you need 5 button presses to get Forbidden Chakra and 3 button presses of form shift to cycle to an ability that will apply Grease Lightning. That's 8 button presses between every pull, which is just crazy. Another annoying thing is that neither is off the global cooldown, so I can't use both at the same time. How do you feel about these skills having been implemented? Well, I guess if you don't like pressing buttons, it could be a problem, but monk's always been a pretty fast-paced job, so it doesn't surprise me to see it done that way. It's kind of weird. Like, if they were in between the global cooldown, it would have made more sense. Like, if meditation specifically was in between the global cooldown, it would have made more sense. Form shift as well. Like, to me, when I first heard of these abilities, I expected, okay, I'm going to form shift, dragon kick, apply it. Then twin snakes, then I'm not saying this is the rotation, but I'm using this as an example. Like, form shift to get into Oppo Oppo, get the dragon kick up. Then between your next global cooldown, form shift, get oh no, yeah, no, I'm all over the place. Get the dragon kick, get the twin snakes, get a Grease Lightning stack, then skip boot shine, go to, I don't know, you know what I'm trying to say. I wish that it was to get you through your forms faster, not take up a global cooldown to switch forms to start in Grease Lightning. That's what I'm trying to say here. Ultimately, it gives you a lot to do in downtime, and they are very strong abilities, but that's what I would change. I feel like at least one of them should have been between the global cooldown. Maybe not form shift. I would have given meditation to be between the global cooldown. So it's like between every 5 GCDs, you're getting these 5 meditation stacks. Granted, then he would have probably had to weaken the hell out of Forbidden Chakra if they did that. Next question. Salutations, Mr. Happy. I've been watching your videos and content for a while now. I really enjoy your work. Thank you. First time asking a question? Yes. Early esoterics bonus. Yes, it's like you read my mind. I have a question about Astrologian skilled Lightspeed. I'm very confused as my main at the moment is Astrologian. How this ability could be used efficiently. I already have a bit of trouble managing my mana in the long fight encounters as it is, and I think it could be a good for instant cast AoE heals and regens, but seeing how it decreases healing by 25% will eat up a lot of mana. It seems a bit problematic. What are your thoughts? So currently its biggest uses are wasting your time. No, it's pretty much curing on the move. That's one of the major things it has going for it. You know, you can completely cast heals while moving. Even Stone Skin and Aspected Helios, which have longer than 2.5 second cast times, if you have over 50 latency, they cast flawlessly on the move. Which is not a good thing. You don't want to have a lot of latency. But regardless, the only thing I think it could do different. And also, by the way, make sure in the long fights, like, make sure you're popping Luminous Ether at, like, 75% of your max mana. Don't wait till you're at, like, 25% of your mana and then pop it. Make sure if you're having trouble with MP over long fights, that maybe you save an Ewer for yourself at some point. If you know, at this point in this fight, I always have MP problems, and I won't have Luminous Ether for this amount of time. Let me save an Ewer for myself for that moment, and then I can use it to make sure that I don't go during those times. Or even use, I hate recommending this, but use a Spear card on yourself right before popping Luminous Ether to reduce the cooldown to get MP back faster. As for that, I think Lightspeed's biggest problem is that it doesn't reduce the global cooldown. It's great that you can cast all these heals while on the move, but in terms of being an effective healing or, you know, even DPS increase, all it does is take your ability that would have been at the beginning of your global cooldown, or that would have been at the end of your global cooldown, and make it at the beginning of it. But it's the same heal being cast at the same amount of time. So I would like to see it drop the global cooldown by 0.5 seconds as well. I think that would put it in a much better place, because that would effectively make you able to heal faster, which is supposed to be the idea of Lightspeed. I think it'll see some changes. I think among other things, Astrologian will probably see some changes. That is definitely one of them, though. All right, next question. Good evening. I assume it's Sunday night. Smart. He knows. I have 2 questions. What things do you think are missing from Heaven's Ward? Personally, I can't for the life of me figure out why they didn't add a 51 to 60 hunting log for jobs and classes. Well, the main reason why the new jobs don't have hunting logs is because it is supposed to be a class-specific feature. And since there are no class, everything is job-specific after level 50, or in the expansion as a whole. That's the main reason they probably didn't give a hunting log. Also, 51 to 60 is not really an effective range for a hunting log. It would have needed to be a 51 to 52, 53 to 54, because the way the zones are broken up and the enemies are broken up, you'd basically kill 1 set of enemies per, like 2 sets of enemies per zone, and that would be it for your hunting log. So I have a feeling that's the big reason for it, is because it's technically part of the class system, and everything they're doing has nothing to do with the class system. So I imagine that's why. Question number 2. I know people have talked a lot about Square Enix merging the worlds of smaller, less populated servers. My question is regarding the feasibility of that. If Square Enix were to implement a server and world merge, how do you think they would do, especially with regards to things like housing? That's the only thing really stopping it. Housing is the only thing really stopping those server merges. And realistically, they could merge all of those housing areas into the one server and just make it so it has 4 wards instead of 2 if you merge 2 servers together. That's probably not nearly as feasible as I'm making it out to be, but that's the only logical thing I could think to where everybody keeps their house and there's no dispute and that you have the servers merged. There's only a handful of servers that I think need that. There's a little, I've had people coming into my chat a lot this past couple of weeks and all say like, I can't make a character on any server. Every server on this data center is closed. Okay, switch to Primal data center. Every server is closed. It's very few servers that are open for character creation at given times of the day, unless you go in like the middle of the day on like a weekday or something like that, or not during peak times. So it would really only be something for like a few select servers. Zalera, and I'm sure there's other ones. Zalera is the only one I can think of right now. Oh man. Anyway, yeah, that's it. That's the biggest problem. Just merge them. Just do it, please. I know it looks bad on PR, but just do it. All right, another really, really long question. This is coming from a viewer that has 220 MS ping approximately because they play from the Oceania region. And they play Ninja, so they're worrying about the effectiveness of the job in high latency scenarios. They describe some troubles with Bismarck Extreme here. They have a couple of questions. One, do bad connections really affect the Ninja that much, or do I simply need to work on my rotations? If you have 220 MS, doing Mudras is a disaster, I'd imagine, because that's a lot. Even playing something like Monk with 220 MS ping, I imagine it would be pretty rough. Yeah, I think Ninja's really, really hard with that kind of ping. Like, think about how long your Mudras used to cast. It's normal for them to cut into a single global cooldown with that much latency. You might even have 2 global cooldowns being lost to every single time you have to do like a Huton, which you shouldn't have to do too much anymore, or a Suiton or a Raiton. Like you should definitely be using Fuma Shuriken instead of Raiton with that kind of latency. And number 2, in a typical Duty Finder group where pulls aren't officially counted down to account for skill timings, and assuming that there's no warrior in the group, would you say that applying dots first takes priority over the slashing debuff now? So much DPS comes from the slashing debuff. Just over the course of its duration when it's up, delaying it to the 6th global cooldown, and I did test this back in the day, where people would go Mutilate first or Mutilate on the 6th global cooldown. You really, really, really want the bonus buff that comes from slashing debuff, because I don't know why the countdown would really change that all too much, unless you're really trying to line up Trick Attack after Dancing Edge, in which case you're delaying Dancing Edge is also delaying your Trick Attack and whatnot. I understand that you're saying that your ninjutsus or your mudras are on cooldown while you're doing that, but just unless there's a warrior, you really want that slashing debuff. If you gotta wing the rest of where your Trick Attack goes, so be it. But the slashing debuff is something you want up immediately. So do not delay that in favor of dots, especially if nobody else is handling the slashing debuff. Alright, so we have another very long question, so I'll try to bring it down as much as possible. Black Mage Main asking about the state of the job, mostly because people are saying, don't bring a Black Mage to a raid, bring a Summoner. Even though Black Mage does fine in Ravana and Bismarck Extreme, as they explain themselves. They shared with me how much damage they can put on a dummy with their gear, without moving, obviously. And then comparing to that with moving and the major concern that comes with the new 3.0 Black Mage, especially if you in any way drop Enochian. So, do you want to know about the state of Summoner, really, to compare it to your Black Mage? Well, first let me say that your test, your dummy test, which was 1050 to 1060 after 5 minutes, reduce that to 4 minutes and kind of go for it. That's the normal amount of time most people parse for, because 5 minutes is generally too long for a melee DPS to go. Without running out of TP, unless of course you're like some godlike, or you have somebody helping you or something like that. I know that monks have a TP regeneration ability in their chakras, but it kind of sucks to have to stop your parse midway to give all your chakra back, but it's possible to do. So I don't know the exact numbers of summoners. Black mages and summoners, when they're standing still, can do comparable damage. However, as you state right here, when it comes to movement, Summoner has a lot more freedom. That might be the only thing that gets them knocked down a peg in a balancing, when it comes to balancing, or might get Black Mage bumped up in terms of mobility in some way, shape, or form. I don't know any solid numbers off the top of my head, just because I've seen so many different numbers and reports over the weeks as people have improved. And I don't know. I feel like they might bring Summoner down because of the mobility, not bring Black Mage up to give them more mobility. Bismarck, like you said, not really a problem. Ravana is a beautiful fight for Black Mages. You practically don't have to move for like the entire first like 4 minutes of the fight. Beetle Stance, you have to move a little bit. And even then, you don't have to move much after that. So there's a lot of things that Black Mage can do fine. I guess we just have to see how these Alexander fights are designed. How much movement is in them, and how much of that movement is when there's no enemies to attack. That's going to be a big thing. Really interested in seeing that, but summoners are in a very good place right now, so your concerns are quite warranted, especially with the mobility that the summoners have. Next question. Hey, Mr. Happy. Love watching your videos and look forward to all your awesome content in the future. Thank you. Had 2 quick questions. Do you think they'll add 2-seat flying mounts to the game or allow the current ones to fly? I think they do, but I think both people are going to need flying before that's allowed. So with the marriage ring, unless both people have flying, it seems like it doesn't work. Because when the expansion first came out, my girlfriend, she tried to teleport to me and it said you're not allowed to. But after she unlocked flying and after she was able to go to certain areas in the zone, she was allowed to teleport to me. So I have a feeling that even if they do allow it, both people will need to be able to fly. They will need to have unlocked flying in a zone in order for it to work. And do you plan on doing a level 60 ninja guide? I actually did an opener video a couple of days ago. I know that this post predates that video. At least I believe it does. So yeah, you should check that out now. It's not a full-blown guide, but it gives you a little bit of insight into the job, its changes, and things I would recommend you do. Next question. Wow. I don't think I'm going to be able to... Actually, I might be able to put it on the screen. We'll see. It's in a huge font. Hey, Mr. Happy. Question for Mondays with Mr. Happy, aka Mr. Happy Mondays. I'm a new player to 14, but played 11 for 6 years. My question is, being someone of limited budget, not having Heaven's Word, do you think people will still be doing some of the old endgame content, or am I just boned until I buy Heaven's Word? Should I just focus on crafting, gathering, and making guild till I can manage to buy the expansion? Thank you for answering my question. Love your videos. The only reason people do the old end game is for vanity stuff, and most of them just want to bring level 60s into it so that way they can farm it. So yeah, you're not going to be able to compete. You're not going to be able to compete in old end game. Maybe there might be like a few select people like, no, we're not buying the expansion, we're still just going to compete in the old end game, but then the game will never really evolve for you. Even crafting and gathering, you might be able to make some guild pre-50 now, because people are buying materials that are pre-50 for the airships. That's probably going to be pretty short-lived unless you decide you want to, unless you decide you just want to gather like clusters and crystals or things like that. Yeah, you're probably just going to have to wait till you get Heaven's Ward before you'll really be able to compete in a lot of the new content. I'd focus on just, I guess, leveling the other jobs, leveling your crafters and gatherers, but not necessarily gearing them out too much. Alright, we still got a lot of questions to go, and this video is starting to stretch on long. My fault, because I'm answering a lot of questions in a very long-winded manner, something I really shouldn't be doing. So I'm going to grab 3 more questions, and then we're going to call it a video. Sorry for those of you who I miss. Try my best, but these videos, they got to be timely. I got things I got to do, man. So next question. Hi, Mr. Happy. I've recently started this game, watching your videos, still getting used to some settings. Is there an easy way to filter tells so that I can block gold selling bots from messaging me without using any third-party download? I've already blacklisted over 80 characters, still get about a tell per hour. It's annoying, and I know other games let you block messages from people who are not on your friends list. Can you do that in this game? I don't know if you can do that. I think the only way to block tells is to just type / away. So that way you just literally can't receive tells. The RMT gold selling thing stopped a lot for me until like today. I finally started getting them again in the new areas. In the lower level areas, you'll definitely get more tells there. But no, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure that there's not even a third-party download you can get that'll do that. Best thing you can do is make a blacklist macro, or just ignore them. Turn off the tell sound so you don't hear them, or filter out tells entirely. But no, there's no one option that allows you to eliminate specific types of tells from your chat box. At least none that I'm aware of. Maybe there are. Somebody answer me in the comment section. Alright, next question. Hello, Mr. Happy. New-ish listener and a newer poster, so enjoy more law tomes. Oh, esoteric soon, but law for now. Thank you. As mostly tank main, switching between Warrior and now Dark Knight, Abyssal Drain bugged me. Damn it, I just got Abyssal Drain too. I seem to have put myself in a lose-lose situation regarding my accessories, as I had melded Platinum accessories, which amounted to 90 strength on 100 vit in regards to gearing up with Law Tomes, at least until I have my Goldsmith leveled up and able to meld the newest set. My accessories carried me to 60 without any issue, but once the minimum item levels came up, the problem of having 5 item level 110s got really bad. My question is, until I've remelded new gear with the lighter loss, getting slaying accessories and losing 100 vit, or getting fending accessories and losing 90 strength, I'd like to have increased self-healing as a warrior. I'm also currently stuck in a pug life, so I don't actually know if I'll be a main tank or an off tank. Honestly, for Bismarck and Ravana, they don't have strong enough tank busters to warrant bringing vitality accessories. If you're not so confident in your skill, you're not so confident in the party, that extra health may give you more confidence, but if you're playing with friends, it's so safe to go with the strength accessories now in the new content. Alexander will likely be a little bit different. People don't know the minimum health values that they're going to want for that. But for now, I'd say just start gathering sets of both. I know it sucks. Maybe mix and match them. Some strength accessories, some vit accessories. But you shouldn't be too afraid to go full strength at this point. Just duty finder can, the party finder can make it. Yeah, you know what I mean. Alright, and the final question I'm going to be answering this week, sorry for all the questions that I missed. Hey Happy, long-time watcher but first-time asker, I have a rather personal question to ask. I know you're a far more confident player than myself, but have you ever experienced anxiety when raiding? I do fine in everything, but until I've done it multiple times, I get really anxious, especially if someone messes up, even if it wasn't me, and I start messing up my rotations and losing my train of thought. I'm usually too afraid to join clear or practice parties in the party finder like Ravana Extreme, even though I've been the 35% a few times. I don't want to be behind in content anymore like I was in all of 2.0. I didn't clear 9 to 13 in Odin until this May. I like the feeling of clearing a raid, but I can't seem to get past my own raid anxiety. Any advice you might be able to give me? So, the biggest thing is, it's a video game. Like, that's ultimately, I had that when I was young, like when I was a really young kid trying to do raids. Like, I'd be like, it's almost dead. Just go. And then everyone else who has like that built-in anxiety starts like, and then it just goes all to shit. Like right now, I'm more of a, when people start going, I got this, I'm doing this, I'm like, you need to calm down right now. Because you start acting like that, I'm afraid that'll start happening to other people. It's ultimately, you gotta look at it like this. It's a game. It's an imaginary boss. It is a virtual enemy you are fighting. You have that thing cannot hurt you. It cannot make you anxious. And I know it sounds like I'm being a dick almost, but it's the truth. Like, you gotta eventually convince yourself, this thing, while it is important to me that I beat it, it is not an insurmountable feat that I need to be so nervous about when I know I'm capable of beating it. And I just gotta do it. Shia LaBeouf said it best. Just do it! Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! And that's the truth. Anyway, thank you for watching, everyone. Another weekly episode of Mondays with Mr. Happy. Be sure to ask your questions for next week in the third time I've pointed to the description of the video. Make sure you go there. Go to the Dream Network forums. Don't forget, you can sign up to the Dream Network forums. There's a bunch of stuff that you can comment on there outside of the Mondays with Mr. Happy stuff. So give it a little peruse, and hopefully I will see you guys sometime this week on my live stream. For anyone wondering, I'm pretty sure I'm not streaming Alexander Normal on Tuesday. I know that we're alarm clocking it, me and the raid group I'm in, but I know that people took off for work for Savage, not for Normal. So I think people still have to go to work during the day. So we'll probably be in the morning, doing it before, you know, when the servers go live at like 6 a.m. and then probably later in the evening. But I don't think I'll be streaming it. After we clear it, I'll be streaming it, so don't worry. And don't forget, Alexander guides will be coming out. I got some guides that I want to release, but I'm trying to like relax until Alexander Normal because I really need to like be on my game for Alexander Normal guides. Anyway, thank you for watching. I will see you all next week. And until then, take care.